As I was saying, heading in the break, my next guest has been a voice of reason for a long time. I mean, he is one of your favorite folks to watch. And, well, he's actually saying now selling out of this market simply because it's risen significantly is not a good enough reason. So let's bring in Belpointe chief strategist David Nelson. And, David, before we talk about, the sort of knee-jerk, market's up, let's sell kind of thing, let's talk about the news that kind of hit just a couple hours ago. Yeah. The China saber rattling, President Trump saying, hey, listen, you're not going to push me around. Markets are sort of confused there.
I think he was pretty angry. I really thought yesterday when the announcement came from
the rare earth stuff,
the timing of that was really suspicious. It almost was like, let's send a missile over to the president. A pretty important day happening in the Middle East. And really a historic day, not just for Israel, for Gazans, for America, and certainly for the president who orchestrated this amazing deal if it actually pans out. So I really take issue with that. I was pretty surprised. Also, they're supposed to meet in a couple of weeks. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's crafts. It's sort of trade crafts there, in a sense that they're positioning themselves. A lot of bluster going into the meeting for public consumption on both sides. And also for positioning once they do meet face to face, hoping that they still do. And some have talked about the language that the president used in his post. There's a lot of wiggle room in that language. Right. So there's, and of course, then they say that the people who don't like Trump will call it the taco trade, right? But the taco trade's worked out pretty good. It's tariff missiles are flying across the seas, and obviously it's mutually assured destruction. If you push them too high, it hurts both sides. But it is a lot of blustering, and I think eventually they will meet. But I guess this is what has to happen. This is the way they make the sausage. So let's talk now about this. People. One folly that you always talk about is people who think, hey, I'm not going to buy this. The market's up too high. It's roaring. Yeah. I'll wait for the pullback. I know people still waiting for the pullback since March of 2009. OK, I'm waiting for the second shoe to drop. You think that for the most part, it's folly. No one's going to do that. They tend not to do that, and it's easy for us. When you're on the train, it's easy to hold on. If you've been in for the ride for the whole time. But if you made a mistake and maybe you got out on Liberation Day and you didn't get back in, or you've never missed this, or you never even bought into the AI trade for whatever that was, it's pretty uncomfortable to get in at these levels. You don't want to make a mistake. But the fallacy is that when you get that 10% correction, it's going to feel like 20. You're not going to pull the trigger. You're going to wait for the clouds to clear. And unfortunately, when they do, you're at another all-time high. And that's what I'm saying. I can remember back in the lows, when the bottom was being put in, the big rumor on the street was there's another shoe to drop, so don't buy. It's going to be commercial real estate. And so the market went up, it gone up, it went up. And it was 2010, 2011, 2012. And let's talk about the catalyst, though, because what will keep this market moving? Well, it'll be earnings, and we're right at the precipice of that right now. We got a good bump from Delta yesterday. It was one of the first names to go. We got the banks next week. It'll give us a read on the economy. The good news is that, earnings growth is strong. We're looking at 13% this year, 13% next year. The bad news is that stocks are outpacing that. And the one thing that nobody seems to be talking about, what may be actually, supporting the multiple expansion, is operating margins are climbing. Right. Productivity is climbing. Right. There's no real evidence yet that it's AI, but something is going on here.